taking as a point of departure the work of two other knowledge producers, Art Ramsey, who is a Barbadian poet, who is speaking. It's an extract from a piece that Fresh Milk supported the production of in the Bahamas. It's called A Prayer in Motion. And also an extract from Erin Kamagishu, who was a professor at UE, but is now at Smith College in the United States, called Beyond Coloniality. And Erin is speaking about this transition from this revolutionary moment in the Caribbean at the time of independence in the 1970s towards us becoming this cohesive group of islands to what he refers to as a kind of a neoliberal moment that is defined by apathy and lethargy. And as we look at the work that our fellows have done, we are touching on the topics, as Catherine has mentioned, but they're dealing with very difficult issues, all of which I'm sure you are writing about in your role as journalist. So we are looking initially at Ronald's work, who's dealing with issues around Black masculinity, the ways in which that sometimes manifest in terms of gang violence and criminal behavior. We're looking at Anna's work that's talking about precocious development of young girls, the pressure around conforming to notions of beauty to be able to aspire to male desire. We're looking at mental health issues in the work of Simone Asia through her illustrations, and then Russell is moving into work that is dealing with sort of climate crisis issues. And so I really want to put forward the idea that these are people who are committed to, this is where the tenderness is, for me, is this idea that our artists are committing their practices to exploring these very complex challenges that we're grappling with as post-independent, post-republic nation states in the Caribbean, and that the tendernesses are manifest in the commitment to their practice, the production of new knowledge, the making of their work in very careful, well thought out ways. I don't know if you want us to pause to ask questions before we hand over to the artist. Is there anything that anybody would like to have more clarity on from anyone at the table?
Maybe before we take questions, I would say one of the things that feels really important to CLF is this idea of partnership. And so this whole initiative is not something that we have done alone. We've been in partnership with the Mellon Foundation, which is the largest funder of the arts in the United States, and more specifically, their Humanities in Place program. And so this idea of that Annalie talked about, seeing artists as knowledge producers, meant a lot to us for the reasons for supporting this work. But also a big part of the way that CLF is thinking about why and how we support arts and creative production is this idea of sustainability, both financial sustainability, but also this idea that we are, as Annalie said, we are dealing with some of the most complex issues of our time, and what role does art have in that? How are artists not just responding, but engaging with some of these complex issues and encouraging us as a people to think differently, but also this idea that art and culture touches people's hearts and minds. And so you could have all the policies in place that you want, all the laws that exist, but if the topics that we're talking about don't resonate for people, we won't begin to see real change.